Hello, thank you for joining this video. I want to tell you all about what I've been experiencing since my dad has advanced Parkinson's, and he has just completed the first surgery in his DBS, deep brain stimulus surgery process. Dad is 73 this year. He's been diagnosed with Parkinson's 4 or 5 years. It could possibly be longer now. He is in advanced Parkinson's. He has full body tremors almost nonstop, to the point where it has even affected the muscles in his face, his jaw. I'm not mocking. I'm just like to demonstrate. His jaw does that motion, his head constantly, his whole body, his hands they shake like this, but they do a very specific twisting motion. He has not lost the ability to walk, but his balance, he's stooped over at the waist. This top half has been very stooped over, and he does the little tiny shuffle feet. He couldn't lift his foot up without losing his balance. So my dad's a very strong man. He's been a diesel mechanic all his life. He's worked outdoors, and this has taken him down fast. He went from being a strong, healthy, fit older man to being completely disabled. So he did a bunch of research, and he found out about the surgery all on his own. And he started telling me about it maybe a year ago, to see if he was going to start seeing if he would be a candidate for it, and if it could get insurance, and what he would, he had to figure it all out. And it's called deep brain stimulus surgery. And what it does is they implant electrical lead wires into the brain tissue at certain points, via a robotic surgery device, and these leads connect to a sensor with a regulator. And there's probably much better words for it, but I'm a layman. I'm just understanding this myself. And the regulator then sends a charge into the nervous system as it flows, and it calms the tremors. From the way he explained it to me is that sorry, my cat is bothering my phone. The tremors and the shaking occur because the Parkinson's has caused some kind of stop it, cat. The Parkinson's has caused some kind of a disruption between his actual brain signal in the nerves. So it's getting a broken signal. So the device is supposed to send a steady signal, and that is supposed to stop the shaking. They told me that it does not cure the Parkinson's itself, and it does not slow or stop any of the other symptoms from progressing, which the other main symptom with Parkinson's beside the tremors is dementia. Okay, so with all that, Dad did his research, and he worked it out in over a year. There were several times they told him that he couldn't do it. He has he's also diabetic, so they had to keep his sugar well under control. He keeps getting UTIs, so all of that takes it off the table. So it's been a year process. He got it all approved finally. And Monday morning, he went in for surgery. So that involved going to the hospital and waiting. He was in surgery for 6 hours. When he came out, he had a big bandage right here on the top of his head, under the clear bandage, and they didn't shave his head like I thought they would, so he still had hair, and under this mess of a sticky bandage, and then there's 2 white bandages right here. And you could see, because of the bleeding, a spot here, a spot here, a spot here, and a spot here. Under these bandages, like this, okay? And then under his hair, under the skin, here over his ear, is where they installed the temporary device. And it made a lump, like if you can, the cat's bothering my phone, if you can see where my fingers are. So he had like a little swelled out lump right here where the device is sitting, and then these holes are where they put in wires and put caps over them that actually they used the robotic surgeon to put in the right place, and they would wake him up periodically throughout the surgery and ask him questions and determine how they were setting it, where they were placing it, and all of that they do. He also had several marks, holes around his whole head, but here on his forehead, and then almost like thumbtack holes, like, you know. I'm told that is because they screwed his head tightly into this device that did the surgery, which makes perfect sense. But Dad said that hurt. He said that they did some kind of numbing thing, and that was uncomfortable, and then that started to hurt. He was feeling that. And then he said he don't remember anything else, but he remembered one point tried to move, and he said to himself, "Oh, buddy, you're not moving." So they locked his head down with screws into this thing, and then he said he heard, I said, "Oh my goodness, that was most likely the bone saw that they cut through the skull with." So when they brought him out 6 hours later to the room, he was completely pale. He was not moving. Because he was so limp, he looked really small in that hospital bed. He had no color on him at all. They didn't clean him up. And maybe you guys are more familiar with this stuff than I am, but there was sticky, matted blood all over his head and his hair and this big bandage, and he had like iodine running and blood, and they didn't clean him up at all. They just brought him in there like that. And we were kind of shocked, and it was very scary and spooky to just see him like that, especially with no color. But he was coming to. He opened his eyes. He saw me standing there, and he spoke to me right away. He knew who I was, and apparently to keep him calm, and because I imagine your body freaks out when you've had holes cut in your head. They gave him a Valium, and Dad's not a medicine taker, so he's not used to anything like that. He did not like that feeling, and immediately he was just going back out and, you know, in and out, in and out. But his color started to come back. His mouth was sore and dry, and I noticed right away that he was completely still. He was so still, I was freaked out. I was making sure he was breathing. He was so still. They didn't have him hooked up to any kind of monitors. There's no heart monitor, blood pressure monitor, you know how they do at the hospital. He wasn't hooked up to any of that. They had an IV for hydration. That was it. When the nurse come in, she said she was giving him some Tylenol into the IV. And they had given him the Valium. And then Dad has to have insulin. They have to check his sugar. He was on, I think he's on some blood pressure medications, so he had to deal with having all of that and making sure everything was okay. But when he could wake up, he saw everybody that was there and recognized. He was able to speak a little bit. He was just so woozy coming out from the medicine and from the Valium. So we left them there that night. They spent the night. The next day, which was today, the doctors all came in and checked him over and said he was fine, and they sent him home. So I went to see him at home. He is wide awake and alert now. However, because he said he was having a headache, they gave him Oxycontin, and now he doesn't like that. Like I said, he's never been a medicine taker, so he doesn't know that feeling, and he doesn't like it. And so I don't know if he's going to take it. I wish they would have given him something a little less, something between Tylenol and Oxycontin. Anyways, so he's wide awake now, and I sat there and just kind of watched him be, and he still has some tremors, but they're not constant. It's almost like they come over him all at once, like he's perfectly still, which is weird now because we're all so used to him shaking and jiggling all the time. But he's completely still. His mouth is sitting closed and still. I used to say it looked like his mouth was trying to run away from his face. Like, it looked so uncomfortable because his jaw was just constantly going. Even when he was just trying to sit still and his whole head was just going. He's just sitting there, just like I am. He's being still. His mouth is not jumping around. And then you see him make a face like this, and his head go, and both his hands start doing the thing. And he clasps his hands together and push them down in his lap. And we all kind of go, oh, what's happening? And then it kind of stops. He gets still again. Then he's still for a while. So that's still an improvement. It's a great improvement over what, like, it was 24/7. They tell me that when he sleeps at night, that the whole bed shakes while he's asleep because it never stops. So him being still like that at all, it's already a great progress. I worry about all of this healing like it's supposed to, but they gave them very little care instructions. He was just told to pat his hair and wash it with a cloth, and like there's no care instructions, and then come back for surgery, basically, unless something happens, and then go see what's wrong. It was really scary because brain surgery and cutting into the skull is horrifying, and thinking of having electric wires and devices running into your brain and through your body, and it's a lot. It is a lot. We were very scared. The surgery went longer than we thought it was going to at first, so that was scary. But we did. They did call every so often and say, hey, everything's going fine. Everything's going fine. And they said that it went really well, and they hope that he gets really good results. They expect good results. No reason for them to think that he won't get good results. So far, it looks like it's going like it should have, and so far it looks like it's working. He's already talking about, hey, if this all goes well, I want to hook up the camper and, go camping. So that's why he was doing this. He wanted to get his life back. He had lost all function of life. He was still driving, but it was getting really dangerous for him to be driving. And he still takes care of himself, but it was just getting harder and harder to do. So we move on from here. And the second surgery, there will be a part 2 surgery. The part 2 surgery is already scheduled for a little over a week from now. And they will put a device in his chest that they described to me as similar to a pacemaker, which will be the permanent device. And they will link these permanent wires that they implanted this time. They're going to run them under his skin, he says, down through his neck and through into this device that's going to be there. And that once this happens, he's going to have some kind of control, whether it's even on his phone, which sounds crazy to me, or, some kind of actual control that goes to the device where he can adjust the currents and the settings until he's comfortable as he needs to. So this is a whole new world for me. I'm not familiar with any of this. And I'm taking note because I'm a lot like my dad, and I don't think Parkinson's is necessarily a genetic thing, but even if it's environmental, we live in the same exact, I live next door to him, so, and we're very similar people. So I just keep a watch on myself. For every time my hand moves any kind of a way, I'm like, is that a sign? But if you're going through this, I want you to know it was terribly scary for me, and it's not my surgery. He wasn't as scared as I was. He wanted it done. He did all of this research by himself. I looked it up on YouTube, and I saw what it was. But it's scary when you're having brain surgery, and when they come out from surgery, they look like they've had brain surgery, and that is scary too. But if all went well, they're going to wake up, and they're going to be a half step back to where they were before the Parkinsons took it all away. I already see that. When he called me this morning, I came home from the hospital last night, and I crashed and I went to bed. And they got up and saw the doctor, and the doctor told him he could go home. So Dad got on the phone, he called me, and that's what woke me up. And I answered the phone, and he says, "Hey!" And I just sat straight up. I said, "Hey!" He hasn't sounded like that. Sounded like Dad from 15 years ago, maybe. The Parkinson's and all the tremors had given him a very feeble, old man, not to be derogatory, kind of a voice. He couldn't get his words out, and he would just, and for him to just call me and be that clear right off, "Hey!" I was like, oh my God. I heard it immediately. I heard the difference. That's time travel. We just went back in time 10 years. 10 years. He got 10 years back today when he jumped out of his chair at the house and went down the hall and used the bathroom and came back like it wasn't nothing. And he wasn't bent over. He's still kind of looking down because he's just used to that now. But I think this is going to do good for him. And I want to encourage you, if your family member or yourself is looking into this surgery, it's scary. It's complicated. And I guess not everybody is a candidate for it. And it may not help everybody. But it's helped him. And the recovery is so fast. I did not expect it. I really thought and was worried that it was going to be bad, And it looked bad at first, but I guess anybody that comes in from surgery, I guess everybody kind of looks like that a little bit. It was just scary, It was just scary, but it's going to be okay. And I couldn't recommend it to you, but it may be something that you want to check out. I wouldn't try to talk you out of it at this point. I would not talk you out of it. It might be the thing. You could check into it. I hope everything goes well for you guys. Thank you for the video, watching my video. I make lots of different kinds of content. So if you want to check out my channel, I appreciate that. You can subscribe, like the video, share this video to someone who is thinking about this surgery. I may tack on the very end the pictures I took. I just took a couple of quick pics of him. Dad doesn't like to be public, so I'm trying to save his dignity as well. But it may help you understand what it looks like when someone, comes fresh out of surgery. So, thank you, everybody. I'm praying for my dad, and I wish you all well with your journey. Thank you. Bye-bye. This is Dad right after they wheeled him in from surgery. This is about an hour later. And this is another hour after that. This was the night before when we met and had dinner.